All right, so I started working on next week's video. So this video is called A Day in the Life of a Minimalist. And the opening of the video is gonna be a parody. This may look like just a normal cereal bowl to the non-minimalist, but to a minimalist, it's also a coffee cup. If it does not add value to my life, I get rid of it. Some have asked me, what about things that bring you joy? I got rid of that as well. This video, A Day in the Life of a Minimalist, the entire idea itself spawned from a conversation that I had with Natalie. She was talking to some of her coworkers and they just couldn't get their head around this idea of what a minimalist was. They kind of went right to the extreme version and were asking questions like, you know, like, does he shower? Oh, no, I know he showers, but does he shower every day? And she had some funny responses there, and then it just kind of started a conversation about what a minimalist actually is. And I thought it would be cool to not only show a day in the life of a minimalist, but what was more fun for me and more interesting was to be able to actually mock it and create this parody up front. So that's how the idea started. I first just wrote out a script for what that would look like and brainstormed and tried to come up with jokes for this extreme version of a minimalist. And then from there, it was pretty simple of, you know, creating an actual script for my normal day in the life, as well as injecting some moments of what filmmakers and people who are trying to sound smart call verite, which is moments that are happening and unfolding in front of you, kind of like you're a fly on the wall as the viewer just watching it.
And it's a weekend, we went down to an olive garden.
So when you're telling a story in a video, you want to use all the tools at your disposal and you want to kind of create momentum and keep it engaging, and you don't want it to get boring and use the same exact things over and over again. So to do this entire video with a voiceover, I think it would just get kind of boring. I could pull it off, but I wanted to actually have these moments that were in the day, like the moment of Natalie cooking. I think that's a good example where you have, this is the real life moment, you know, it's not forced or fake. That's actually part of our day. What I'm filming right now is part of the actual day in the life. Right now I'm doing some cooking, getting some behind the scenes shot for that, and I'll show you guys some of the other setups that I'm gonna be creating throughout the day. Capturing a day in the life when you're filming yourself, you're gonna have to stage a lot of stuff, and you know, when I'm working at my desk, I'm actually just gonna be filming me pretending to work, just to give you a feel for what my days actually look like. All right, so I've stripped down my vlogging camera, I've taken off the mount, and the idea here is I'm gonna be putting it on this Manfrotto stand and placing it over top of the stove so we can get a nice overhead shot of the chicken being cooked. What's nice about the Manfrotto stand is that it should be able to hold, I haven't done it with this size lens, but it should be able to hold this camera. The camera body itself is very light, so it's pretty easy to hold on a stand like this. So let's try it out. Just mounted like this. Whoops, wrong side. That's it. I'm just holding like that. This is a small little monitor that's gonna allow me to see exactly what my camera's shooting. And this is a mount that I can mount the monitor with. All right, so as you can see, the shot is looking pretty good. The idea is that I have to extend the boom arm a little bit, so then that way you wouldn't see the legs in the shot there. It's looking pretty clean. Right now, I'm just heating up the skillet. I'll spray it down, and then I'm gonna throw my chicken on. I want it to be kind of crackly. Another thing you have to think about when shooting this is not to move your feet around too much, because any subtle movement I make is gonna make the camera wobble. So one thing that really comes in handy is this little remote. It's called the Sony RMT DSLR2, and it allows me to hit start and stop on this. I can take photos with this, which is great if I'm trying to create a thumbnail for my video, but specifically when I'm working with this rig right here, the Manfrotto Boom Stand Pole with the camera, if I hit record on it, the entire thing is gonna start shaking. If I use the start-stop button right there, it'll start recording on the camera and there's not gonna be any disruption or movement. Now a little business lesson in the middle of this video. So this setup right here, as you can see, is the Patreon pitch. Now, as I make this hipster cup of coffee, I'd love to talk for just a moment about my Patreon account. Everything in business is an experiment. If you're an entrepreneur, a freelancer, you have to always be testing out and trying different things. So recently I did an experiment on my podcast where for 4 or 5 episodes at the very beginning, all I said was, if you want to learn about more ways to support the podcast, listen after the show. And that's when I gave my Patreon pitch. And I tried that for about a month and I didn't really see any results. So then I started to bring the pitch into the very beginning, up front. I pitched Patreon, I talked about it for about a minute, sometimes 2 minutes, and what I saw was a lot more people signing up. Now this might seem obvious, but it was one of those things that I had to try for myself. I had to experiment because if I didn't have to do that intro in the very beginning, that would be great. Then I could just get right to the show and we wouldn't have to waste time. But as you learn more and more about creating content online as an original content creator, you find out that a lot of times you got to do the hard sell. A lot of times you have to let people know what you want them to do, where they can support, and you often have to do it either up front or inside the video, not at the very end, because people tend to just click off. So that's what I'm doing right now with this video. So I'm integrating a Patreon pitch into the middle of the video, really probably about 2 minutes in. I'm trying to do it in a way that's a little bit light and humorous, but also quick and makes sense. My Patreon account is one of the ways that I'm able to keep this YouTube channel 100% advertisement free. You can check it out at patreon.com/MattDiavella. There's a link in the description. Oh, look at that. The coffee's done. But this is my first time pitching Patreon really up front. So I want to see, hey, does this really help me a lot more? Can I add this more in videos in the future? Or should I just go back to plugging it at the very end of my videos like I've been doing? You want to talk?
Nope.
All right, so I just shot some stuff with Nat here. We actually had to coordinate it in the morning before she went to work. Not because I was trying to be as accurate as possible, but because she gets home kind of late, at least lately it's been past 7 p.m. So that means that there's not a whole lot of time for us to shoot with daylight. So she helped me out and woke up a little bit early. That part went well.
What's this video about? What are you doing? Hey, let's use them.
We're talking now.
If you want to talk, you call me.
Was that your Italian, like, mafia persona? Right now I'm shooting the alarm clock scene. So it's gonna be the shot where the camera's right above the alarm clock and we see the alarm, but that's not actually an alarm. So this is just a couple bits about how I made this work, where it may seem simple and obvious, but there's a lot of thought that goes into it. These are all screenshots. So I'm doing a couple alternate takes. I may end up just doing an actual wake up, like where I wake up at 6 o'clock and I get right to work. But I was also thinking it could be cool to have an alternate version where it's kind of like a joke, where sometimes it's not really a joke, but more so just a little bit playful, where it's like, but sometimes I hit the snooze button. And then I could just show boop, 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 like 6:15, 6:20, 6:30, all the different snoozes. I actually had to create it because I didn't wake up and actually take screenshots during the time. So that's the screenshot I took because it was at 8:57. And then I brought it into Photoshop and I made all these ones separately. The other thing is that I'm getting the reflection of the camera itself in, you can see it in the phone off the reflection, even when the alarm is open. So that's another thing. I'm probably going to hold a shirt or a blanket over top of the camera to prevent from seeing the actual reflection of the camera. So let's see. It's funny because this is such a small, tiny thing. It's gonna be 5 seconds in the video, but a lot of times the smallest things, the smallest and simplest details actually take a really long time. And that's filmmaking. Okay, so you can see right there, you can see the reflection. This is the camera right here in the reflection. So I wanna put a blanket over top of it. All right, so this is part of the parody that opens the video. This is gonna be where I reveal to those that don't already follow the channel that this whole thing was just a little bit of a parody and a joke, and transitioning then to the actual day in the life of a minimalist. So I've cleared out, you can see dining room table and chairs cleared out. Wanted to make the space look totally empty, have nothing in it at all. I've got this boom pole here, which gets very close to me. Right down here is the camera. As you'll see with this setup down here, there's a stack of books. It's not a traditional tripod, with a sweatshirt here to make sure that I can level it off and I can tilt up at an angle a little bit. I don't have any tripods that are that low to the ground, so this is the only option that I have. And of course, I got the paper lantern here, which I can turn on. Bam. So got a little bit of light, helps light me up a little bit with a nice little key light, but that's it, pretty simple. So efficiency is very important as a filmmaker. So I want to show you one way is that I try to be as efficient as possible with my time. There is a traditional mount that you can get with the C200 for your boom mic. I'm instead using this attachable boom mic. You can attach it right there with the hot shoe plate. But what's great about it is that I can take this off. You can see on the bottom, it's got a 1/4-inch screw, and then I can quickly and easily mount it when I have two hands available, which I don't right now. I can just twist that right on, and then now I can mount my boom mic separately, which is great when I'm doing dialogue scenes like with Natalie, or if I'm just talking by myself on the camera versus wanting to just pick up some natural sound from the camera itself without actually doing any dialogue or talking. So just one simple and quick way that I'm able to save a lot of time. And then of course, with every video that I make, I am simultaneously creating and making adjustments to the script, and then I will shoot a bunch of footage and start working on it, realize that, oh, maybe I missed a couple shots, the voiceover is not really working that great, and then re-record the voiceovers, reshoot that footage, and get exactly what I need to make this video. The idea, obviously, is that you don't take that step too far, that you do not get bogged down in perfection, that you're not able to actually finish the video and release it on time. So that's why it's good to have a deadline. I ended up working on this video. I finished it up. To give you even an idea of how long it would take to edit this video, I started editing on Monday morning at 6 a.m. and I finished at, I want to say, 1 p.m., 1:30 p.m. That's start to finish, everything, finding music, finding the right B-roll, cutting together, recording the voiceover. All the B-roll was shot before then, and I'm really happy with how it came out. I don't always like to wait until the day of to edit my videos. I normally like to get out in front, but that was the case with this one. And now Natalie's coming home, so this video is over. Hi, honey.
Hi.
How are you? Say hi to Patreon.
Hi, Patreon.
Bye, Patreon.